Well, I think it has to be profitable, but it also has to be aesthetically beautiful, and this building is really beautiful. I don't do things that really don't have the proper aesthetic, and this is something that I feel is going to be just a superior building. It's going to be one of the great buildings of Canada. Well, in New York City, I've done some of the best buildings. We've gotten tremendous reviews, architectural reviews, Trump World Tower, Trump International Hotel and Tower, and a lot of others, 610 Park Avenue recently. And we're going to do the same thing here. People always laugh when I say this, but I don't do things for money. I do things because I like doing them, and I do them well, and I make them beautiful, and then they make a lot of money. I think it has to do with a vision. It has to do with a work ethic. You have to work hard. The word ego is an interesting word because I've never met a successful person who didn't have an ego. So I always found it to be an interesting word, and I don't even think of myself in terms of ego or ego-driven. I think that the word promotion for me is an over-exaggerated word. I don't think I'm good promotionally. I think I build great products, and they promote themselves.
This building is a winner.
I think that the celebrity probably helps my deals. I didn't really start out wanting to be a celebrity. It just sort of happened. It's part of the territory, and I guess I've grown accustomed to it. I'm not saying I always love it. You know, being in the National Enquirer and being in all the different magazines and all, some of it's good, some of it's not so good, some of it's fantastic. But the end result is, it seems to work out okay. I've made a lot of people famous. I mean, I make them all famous, and I have to keep working. You know, it's one of those things. But a lot of people have become famous that have been involved with me, and I don't know if they learned the tricks or if they learned whatever or if it's the association, but there are, I mean, not just women in my life, a lot of people. I own the Empire State Building. I own so many different things that I would have never thought possible, and especially probably even in the early 90s when times were tough for me and a lot of other people, but times were tough. Now my company's much bigger, much stronger than it ever was in the 80s. The fact is you have to work very hard to sort of just mushroom it up. And whether it's $1 million that you want to transfer into $1 billion, or whether it's $100,000 or $10,000 that you want to double to $100,000, you've got to make wise decisions. And you can't have the luxury of making mistakes. If you make one mistake, the game is over. You go right back to square one. So it's pretty tough. But I like the concept of places like Toronto. You go to the right location, you go to the best locations, and you do things in real estate. Even if it's buying a house and fixing it up and selling it for a profit, and then buying 2 houses and fixing them both up and selling them. Try and stay away from the banks as much as possible, because the borrowing gets you in trouble. Ultimately, the interest eats you alive. And just work. It takes time. It's not an easy process.